open, but nobody was walking on the pavement outside. No cars went by on the street. Not even the teeniest sound could be heard anywhere. Sophie had never known such a silence. Perhaps she told herself this is what they call the witching hour. The witching hour, somebody had once whispered to her, was a special moment in the middle of the night when every child and every grown-up was in a deep, deep sleep. And all the dog things came out from hiding and had the walls to themselves. The moonbeam was brighter than ever on Sophie's pillow. She decided to get out of bed and close a gap in the curtains. You get punished if you were pulled out of bed after lights out.
The wimpy kid, the last straw, a couple of guys who were sick of getting stuck inside for racist every day decided to try and figure out who took Mrs. Craig's dictionary. The first person they integrated was this kid called Corey Lamb. He probably could have taken it, but I think Corey was the number one on the list of suspects because he's smart and he's always using big words. Corey fessed up to the crime in no time flat, but it turns out he was the only one who said he did it. Because the pressure made him crack. The next kid on the list was Peter Lynn. And before you knew it, Peter confessed too. I figured it just a matter of time before those guys had cornered me. So I knew I had to do something, and fast. I think of stuff hours and hours, and I just found out I read enough Sherlock Sammy books to know that sometimes it takes a nerd to get you out of a pinch. And I figured out if anyone could crack this case was Alex Anja, the smart little kid.
Grandma Josephine, Joe, you make him stop. I want to get off. Save us, yelled Grandma Georgina. Go down, yelled Grandpa George. No, Mr. Wonka yelled back. We've got to go up. But why, they all shouted at once. Why up and not down? Because the higher we are when we start coming down, the faster we'll all be when we hit, said Mr. Wonka. We've got to go at an absolutely sizzling speed. When we hit what? They cried. The factory, of course, answered Mr. Wonka. You must be whackers, said Grandma Josephine. We'll all be pulpified. We'll be scrambled eggs, said Grandma Georgina. That, said Mr. Wonka, is a chance we'll have to take. You're joking, said King. Madame, I never joke. Oh my dears, cried Grandma Josephine. We'll all be lixivated, every one of us. More than likely, Mr. Wonka said to Grandma Josephine. Screamed and he disappeared under the bedclothes. Grandma Georgina clutched to Grandpa George so tight he changed shape. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket stood hugging each other, speechless with fright. Only Charlie and Grandpa George kept moderately cool. They had travelled a long way with Mr. Wonka and have grown accustomed to surprises. But as the great elevator continued to streak upward, farther away from
the bar butler pointed a finger as large as a tree trunk at the BFG. Ranty little scrum-screw, he shouted. Whiffing little swishfiggler, trippy little bottlewort, hunty little hogswiller. I's now going to search the person who grabbed the BFG body up. It was not in the least difficult to believe that this ghastly brute ate men and women and children every night. The bar butler, still holding the BFG by the arm, examining the rows of bottles. You hibbling bottles, he shouted. What is you putting in them? Nothing that would interest you, the BFG answered. And you is dirty as a dog's wobbler, cried the bad butler. Suddenly, the bad butler grabbed the half-eaten snooze combler. So this is the filthy, loathsome garbage. So this is the filthy, loathsome garbage he was eating, boomed the Badboner, holding up the partly eaten snowscumber. You must be cockles to be gusting such grab squash. The Badboner took a bite of it. Roared the Badboner, and he spat. Do you love it? Asked the BFG. Love it? Yelled the Badboner, smashing the snowscumber on the BFG's head. Then the Badboner strode out of the cave.
To be reading Flooring Unices by Kate McMillan. There was just no predicting what kind of sentences you might say for instance, who would ever think he would shout, "You're going to vacuum up that squirrel." It didn't make any difference, though, what words you said. Flora was too far away, the vacuum cleaner was too loud, and also clearly bent down on destruction. "This malfeasance must be stopped," said Flora in a deep and superheroic voice. "This malfeasance must be stopped," was what the unsummoned caretaker, Alfred T. Slipper, always said before he was transformed into the amazing Incanisto, became a towering, crime-fighting pillar of light. The end.
I'm going to be reading The Worst Thing About My Sister by Jacqueline Wolfson. The worst thing about my sister is she's such a girl. Well, I'm a girl too, but I'm not a stinky, pinky, silly, frilly, girly girl. Think cupcakes and cuddly teddies and charm bracelets. That's Melissa. She leaves a little pink trail around her house with sparkly slides and ribbons and notebooks. You breathe in her revolting scent long after she's gone off to hang out at her friend's house. She's not allowed to wear real perfume yet, but she's got this rose hand cream that smells really strongly. She doesn't just rub it on her hands, and she smooths it in all over, so she's always slightly slippery. Her lips shines too, because she's forever smearing on lip gloss. She's not really supposed to wear makeup yet either, only for play, but she's got a big plastic bag patterned with pink kittens, and it's crammed full of eyeshadows and mascaras and blushers. It used to be just Mom's old stuff, but now Melissa spends half her pocket money in Superdrug. When Melissa was in the toilet, I crept into her ultra-pink and fluffy bedroom to borrow a pen as mine is all run out. I couldn't find her school bag. It must have been downstairs by the computer. So in desperation, I looked in her plastic makeup bag. I found a brand new eye pencil with the perfect point and its own cool little sharpener. I went back to my Monty den, sat on my top bunk, amazing new adventure of Mighty Mark. I didn't mean to use a lot of the pencil. I was just going to do a quick sketch, but then I had this great idea of giving Mighty Mark giant springs in her feet, so she could jump boing over rooftops and lampposts and trees. Drawing all these astonishing feats took up 3 full pages of my sketchbook and most of Melissa's eye pencils.
Today I will be reading The Witches by Roald Dahl. The next evening, after my grandmother had given me my bath, she took me once again into the living room for another story. Tonight I will teach you how to recognize a witch when you see one, the old woman said. Can you always be sure? I asked. No, but you can make a pretty good guess. She was rubbing cigar ash all over her lap. I was hoping she wasn't going to catch fire before she told me how to recognize a witch. The first thing, she said, a real witch will always be wearing gloves. Always. Even in the summer when it's hot. Even in the summer. She has to. Do you want to know why? Why, I said. Because she has absolutely no fingernails. Instead of fingernails, she has thin, curvy claws like a cat. She wears gloves to hide them. Mind you, lots of very respectable women wear gloves, especially in the winter, so this doesn't help you much. Mama used to wear gloves, I said. Not in the house, my grandmother said. Witches wear gloves, even in the house. They only take them off when they go to bed. How do you know all this, Grandma? Don't interrupt. Just take it all in. The second thing to remember is that a real witch is always bald. Bald? Bald.
And the brown bunny are getting ready for Easter. Mommy Bunny was stuffing the turkey. Papa Bunny was nearing the very time. And Baby Bunny was giving egg on a